there's a big other side to it, and a lot of people are being hurt besides them. A lot of people who don't make as much money as them in this bipartisan world we have, where you're just in one camp or the other. There's no in between. You're either for the strike, like they're Che Guevara out there, like this is Cesar Chavez lettuce picking strike, or you're with Trump. Like there's no different. There's only two camps, and it's much more complicated than that.
Yeah, according to Bill Maher, who once again has a show that staffs a lot of writers, Bill Maher says that, look, these writers, they're getting all uppity. This is not Che Guevara, it's Che Guevara, just pronounce it correctly, which by the way has nothing to do with labor. You were just looking for a Latino name and then you got it, Cesar Chavez, and then you got the actual food wrong. You said lettuce, it's grapes. Get your story straight, you idiot. But so this was Bill Maher on his show, his like podcasty show. And he's there with comedian Jim Gaffigan, who tries to push back a little bit, but he's basically saying, look, writers have a lot of ridiculous demands, and I don't know, it's just like they make it seem like if you're not with them, you're with Trump, and I hate it, and it's hard for me, and I'm gonna, smoke this cigar. And that was a few weeks ago, so it makes sense that Bill Maher, along with Drew Barrymore, has decided he's going back to work without his writers. Here he is announcing just yesterday on Twitter, real time is coming back. Unfortunately, sans writers or writing. It has been 5 months and it's time to bring people back to work. The writers have important issues that I sympathize with, and I hope that they are addressed to their satisfaction, but they are not the only people with issues, problems, and concerns. Despite some assistance from me, oh, you're such an angel. Much of the staff is struggling mightily. We're all hopeful this would come to an end after Labor Day, but that day has come and gone and there still seems to be nothing happening. I love my writers, I am one of them, but I'm not prepared to lose another entire year to see so many below the line people suffer so much. I will honor the spirit of the strike by not doing a monologue, desk piece, new rules, or editorial, the written pieces I'm so proud of on Real Time. And I'll say it up front to the audience, the show I will be doing without my writers will not be as good as our normal show, oh God. But the heart of the show is an off the cuff panel discussion that aims to cut through the BS and predictable partnership, and that will continue. Predictable partisanship, the show will not disappoint. Narrator voice, the show definitely disappointed. So Bill Maher is deciding to be a scab. Sabrina, before I kick it back to you, here are more of his thoughts on those writers that he says he respects and he hopes they get what they want. Take a look.
They're asking for a lot of things.
They're asking for a lot of things.
Like kooky, like what I find objectionable about the philosophy of the strike, it seems to be they have really morphed a long way from 2007 strike, where they kind of believe that you're owed a living as a writer, and you're not. This is show business. This is a make or miss league.
They think that you're owed a living. And you're not, because this is Hollywood, baby. Puffs on cigar. Sabrina, thoughts? Is he right?
Absolutely not. You are owed a living. If you're putting in labor, you are owed a living. And I hate that he's saying that, like, oh yeah, we're gonna cut through the BS. Scabbing is the BS. You are scabbing. So I mean, I didn't have high expectations for Bill Maher anyway. He's been out of touch for the longest time. Very much do not like him. He is so pompous. And yeah, if he was getting paid the same as his writers, then I think his tune would be a little different, but he doesn't. He's worth like about 140 million. Like, of course he's not sympathetic or even empathetic with his writers. So yeah, disappointing Bill Maher, that was expected. Drew Barrymore, that was unexpected and disappointing, but what are you gonna do? These Hollywood libs.
Yeah, I mean, they're both out of touch for their own reasons. I mean, Drew Barrymore, because she's just like, I mean, she's been out to lunch since she was, I guess, a Hollywood baby. I mean, she's just like, I like literally don't know where she's coming from. But Bill Maher, it's like, yo man, you used to care about stuff. Like I think you did. You used to like mock corporations and corporate power. Let's remember who the AMPTP is. Let's remember, like you're putting this all on the writers. It's not the writers that are doing this. It is the corporate owners, your overlords who are refusing to come to the table. And yeah, things might be good for you, but exactly as Sabrina said, try living on your writer's salary. Try making it, because it is not paying what it used to. And you are entitled to a living. It's such BS. And this is what happens in Hollywood. Everyone needs to know this, because the people he's talking about in that very long screed are producers, right? Are tech workers, are maybe IATSE members, right? Who did have their contract settled, right? Are people arguably, ostensibly lower down on the rung than writers. Here's the problem. They also get treated with the same disrespect, because the line is, well, you're in Hollywood. You just suck it up and live on poverty wages and are unable to pay your rent because you're here and you get to work with celebrities like Bill, endless receding hairline Maher. Like that's who you get to, like, ooh, this is amazing. Like no, it's not amazing. There's no glitz and glam anymore. It's hard work. And here's the difference, Bill, between 2007 and 2023, there's something called streaming. And so you've had the privilege of being on HBO, but the entire craft has been cheapened. You would care about that if you actually wrote some of your best segments. And let's be real, the worst content is yet to come, because the only thing that was saving real time from being utterly unwatchable were the monologues, were those segments that were absolutely dependent on his very good writers working for a terrible guy, but doing as best as they can with that. I have a lot to say on this, but we have to go to the WGA. I want to go jump down, because they talk about how they are basically like, this is scabbing. This is absolutely scabbing. They say Bill Maher's decision to go back on the air while his guild is on strike is disappointing. If he goes forward with his plan, he needs to honor more than the spirit of the strike. As a WGA member, Bill Maher is obligated to follow the strike rules and not perform any writing services. It's difficult to imagine how real-timers can go forward without a violation of WGA strike rules taking place. WGA will be picketing this show, just like they were picketing Drew Barrymore and others. I believe The Talk on CBS is slated to come back as well. Again, all of these so-called unscripted shows, Bill Maher's just like, oh, okay, I'll get rid of the scripted parts because he's a twat. Finally, I just want to point out again, the ball is in the AMPTP's court. So the WGA writes, to clarify, August 11th, the initial counteroffer from the AMPTP. August 15th, WGA offers counterproposal. August 22nd, AMPTP publicly releases unchanged offer from August 11th, ignoring WGA's August 15th proposal entirely. In other words, we're gonna leak this to the press, and we're not even gonna engage. They hadn't come to the table, you guys, until August 11th. The strike is 5 months in. So it's past a month later in September. They haven't come back. It's not like there's people working behind the scenes and writers are just being, kooky with their demands. No. And again, Sabrina, how much you want to bet he has no idea about this? He doesn't know that the AMPTP hasn't offered any kind of revised deal. He doesn't care. He's just on his podcast called Club Random, the dumbest name for a podcast.
I didn't realize that was the name. That's awful. That's like I don't think even an 11-year-old would come up with that. That's so lay random and lay dumb. Yeah, I think he's very much not keeping up with the strike at all. I think he doesn't care. I think all he cares about is his bottom line. I think all he cares about is getting his face on camera, and he knows that this is getting in the way for him. So that's why he's totally fine being a gross little scab, and I encourage people to not watch it, not give him the time of day. Screw Bill Maher.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.